We're totally unprepared. Now, are we talking about a pole shift where north becomes south? Yes, we are. Is that what's going on with all the weather? Earth's magnetic field surrounds our planet like an invisible force field, protecting life from harmful solar radiation by deflecting charged particles away. Far from being constant, this field is continuously changing. Now, granted, of course, these are the end times, and we're seeing the signs of the end times posted everywhere. Not posted, but you get what I'm saying. They're everywhere. And that said, the poles are apparently set to shift, according to mainstream science. Why isn't this being told or pushed by mainstream media? Because, you see, there's a shift going on as well. And this shift happens to be from coal to renewable energy. And with that shift, it's called global warming. It's called mankind is the problem. See what they're doing there? But in reality, the Earth is changing. And it's happened before. Indeed, our planet's history includes at least several hundred global magnetic reversals, where north and south magnetic poles swap places. So when's the next one happening, and how will it affect life on Earth? During a reversal, this is very important, the magnetic field won't be zero, but will assume a weaker and more complex form. It may fall to 10% of the present-day strength, and have magnetic poles at the equator, or even the simultaneous existence of multiple north and south magnetic poles. Geomagnetic reversals occur a few times every supposedly million years on average. However, the interval between reversals is very irregular and can range up to tens of millions of years. Of course, this, if we were to take this at face value, we would have to believe in evolution, which of course we don't. We believe in creation. There can also be temporary and incomplete reversals, known as events and excursions, in which the magnetic poles move away from the geographic poles, perhaps even crossing the equator before returning back to their original locations. The last full reversal, the Bruns Matumia, I believe that's how you say that, occurred around 780,000 years ago. Again, that's on an evolution time period. A temporary reversal, the last Champ event, occurred around 41,000 years ago. It lasted less than 1,000 years, with the actual change of polarity lasting around 250 years. Power cut or mass extinction. The alteration in the magnetic field during a reversal will weaken its shielding effect, allowing heightened levels of radiation on and above Earth's surface. I imagine that would cause some ice to melt. I imagine that would cause some drastic effects on Earth. Were this to happen today, the increase in charged particles reaching Earth would result in increased risks for satellites, aviation, and ground-based electrical infrastructure. Geomagnetic storms, driven by the interaction of anomalously large eruptions of solar energy with our magnetic field, give us a foretaste of what we can expect with a weakened magnetic shield. In 2003, the so-called Halloween storm caused local electricity grid blackouts in Sweden, required the rerouting of flights to avoid communication blackout and radiation risk, and disrupted satellites and communication systems. But this storm was minor in comparison with other storms of the recent past, such as the 1859 Carrington event, which caused an aurora as far south as the Caribbean. The impact of a major storm on today's electronic infrastructure is not fully known. Of course, any time spent without electricity, heating, air conditioning, GPS, or internet would have a major impact. Widespread blackouts could result in economic disruption, measuring in tens of billions of US dollars a day. In terms of life on Earth and the direct impact of a reversal on our species, we cannot definitively predict what will happen, as modern humans did not exist at the time of the last full reversal. Several studies have tried to link past reversals with mass extinctions, suggesting some reversals and episodes of extended volcanism could be driven by a common cause. However, there is no evidence of any impending cataclysmic volcanism, and so we would only like to have to contend with the electromagnetic impact if the field does reverse relatively soon. We do know that many animal species have some form of magnetoreception that enables them to sense Earth's magnetic field. They may use this to assist in long-distance navigation during migration, but it is unclear what impact a reversal might have on such species. What is clear is that early humans did manage to live through the last Champ event, and life itself has survived the hundreds of full reversals evidenced in the geologic record. Can we predict geomagnetic reversals? The simple fact that we are overdue for a full reversal, and the fact that Earth's field is currently decreasing at a rate of 5% per century has led to suggestions that the field may reverse within the next supposed 2,000 years, which we know their timeline is so far off. But pinning down an exact date, at least for now, will be difficult. Earth's magnetic field is generated within the liquid core of our planet by the slow churning of molten iron, because we also supposedly know what's in the center of the Earth. Like the atmosphere and oceans, the way in which it moves is governed by the laws of physics. We should therefore be able to predict the weather of the core. By tracking this movement, just like we can predict real weather by looking at the atmosphere and ocean. Here's the problem though. It's not governed by the law of physics. It's actually governed by the law of God. That's where they're wrong. They keep missing this fact. It's not an accident. I'm pretty positive we didn't evolve from whales and hummingbirds. We were created. That sacredness needs to come back to life. Because then maybe we would take each other more seriously then, instead of treating each other like animals. We should therefore be able to predict the weather of the core, but they don't even know it's there. A reversal can then be likened to a particular type of storm in the core, where the dynamics and magnetic field go haywire, at least for a short while, before settling down again. The difficulties of predicting the weather beyond a few days are widely known, despite us living within and directly observing the atmosphere. Yet predicting Earth's core is a far more difficult prospect, principally because it is buried beneath 3,000 kilometers of rock, such that our observations are scant and indirect. So they have absolutely no idea, but yet they've made predictions and supposedly it's going to happen within 2,000 years. They have no idea when it's actually going to happen, how long it actually takes to happen, or when the last one was. Let's be real. However, we are not completely blind. We know the major composition of the material inside the core and that it is liquid. A global network of ground-based observatories and orbiting satellites also measure how the magnetic field is changing, which gives us insight into how the liquid core is moving. The recent discovery of a jet stream within the core highlights our evolving inequity and increasing ability to measure and infer the dynamics of the core. Coupled with numerical simulations and laboratory experiments to study the fluid dynamics of the planet's interior, our understanding is developing at a rapid rate. This jet stream we reported on recently, and it's very interesting. Let's put it that way. Let's see if they have the article linked. I want to read this one to you too. High latitude jet in Earth's core. Observations of the change in Earth's magnetic field, the secular variation, provide information about the motion of liquid metal within the core that is responsible for the magnetic field's generation. High-resolution observations from the European Space Agency's Swarm satellite mission show intense field change at high latitude, localized in a distinctive circular daisy chain configuration centered on the north geographic pole. Here we show that this feature can be explained by a localized westward jet of 420 kilometers width of the tangent cylinder. The cylinder of fluid within the core that is aligned with the rotation axis and tangent to the solid inner core, we find that the jet has increased in magnitude by a factor of 3 over the period from 2000 to 2016, or to about 40 kilometers a year, and is now much stronger than typical large-scale flows inferred for the core. We suggest that the current accelerating phase may be part of a longer-term fluctuation of the jet, causing both eastward and westward movement of magnetic features over historical periods, and may contribute to recent changes in toroidal wave activity and the rotation direction of the inner core. Literally, folks, they're just figuring this out now, but yet they know the entire history of planet Earth and that we've just gotten here by an accident. Okay. Theories on top of more theories and on top of more theories. But anyways, the point is, there have been so many people stating that the poles are about to flip. The earth is about to shift. The Bible says something similar will take place in the end times. Now we see it pop up in a mainstream science article. Interesting, isn't it? The real question is this what's going on? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. That's all I got for you. God bless and carry on.
14th, 2017. Something happened, ladies and gentlemen, to our Earth. We will see that whatever it was impacted all of us. We know this. It had the same effect as a freight train hitting our planet. It absolutely, whatever this was, obliterated our protection, our shield that protects all life on Earth. Question is, was it the sun? I mean, we get impacted by solar wind all the time. Earth is designed to handle that. But there are those exceptions. But was there something that happened on the sun that could be directly correlated back to this event? Haven't been able to find one. Was it the Earth itself? Was it the Earth basically sending out signals that something is wrong with the planet? Don't know. Was it natural or was it man-made? That still has not been determined. What we do know is this: the Earth's magnetosphere was blown away, and it was a prolonged event. We know this because we have the satellites, the observation points that are designed to record and to send the data. Now, we're going to be talking about, again, the Earth's magnetosphere, or also as it's known as the Earth's magnetopause. Our Earth has a distinct protection field about it. We do this magnetically. And what you see here with the red lines, this is what we call the closed loops. It's what protects us. Now, you asked where I mentioned a while ago that we get this from satellite telemetry. Well, we have GOES 15, 14, 13 comms. We also now have GOES 16 up there. And, of course, we have our moon, which does affect the magnetic elements of the Earth. So as you can see, this was last year, very normal day on planet Earth. Here we are, same period of time. Again, very normal. This is, by the way, this is what you would call the solar wind coming in. And your colors, as you can see here, are basically plasma. It's how hot the atmosphere is, you could say, here on Earth. In this case, it's actually space. As it should be. This was in January. Now, I will point out in this one, as opposed to being able to actually see what we would want to see more of a streamline in the plasma flow, there is some unusual activity taking place here, and you can see how the magnetopause is reacting, but still within normalcy. Although you can see the surrounding area hot, getting warmer, but nothing wrong with this. Even this, again, is within normalcy. What this is, not sure, but you can see it's really not impacting the Earth all that much. Now, I pardon for the blurriness on this, but the point of this one, this is not normal. I can assure you the other slides will be a lot clearer, but this is very, very troublesome. In fact, we actually did a program on this, Steve Olson and I did. So, March 14th, it begins. But we actually see that it began on the 13th. So this was a prolonged event, whatever it was, on the Earth's shield, our magnetopause, our magnetosphere. Because in this capture, you can see it is absolute chaos. We've lost the clothesline to polarity. That's gone. Folks, when you got a collapse on the closed loop polarity, that means basically there's no shield up there. And look at the IMF lamps. They're just, it's like they have been completely obliterated. So we're going to document for the next 4 hours, actually I think it's actually 5 hours, what happened on this day to the Earth's magnetic shield. Now these frames came from Skywatch Media. They were sent to me, and listen, we're putting this out there because it's about awareness for all of us. This impacts every, not just the human life, but all life. Something happened on this day, and whatever it is, it's beginning to happen with much more frequency and much more intensity, as we're going to see. So watch the time code right up here and just begin to follow it yourself. You have the basic understanding now of what is normal. Obviously, that is not normal. In fact, you will not see another normal frame for the rest of this presentation. Now, I get the distinct impression that there's a pull coming down the ecliptic. It just seems like that to me. But that's just my impression. Now, what's wrong with this is that basically the Earth is devoid of any magnetic output. And what magnetic output there is de minimis to what normalcy should be. It should not be this way. And just take a look for it, you can see. It's as if the Earth is being pulled and at the same time trying to connect to something. Now here you can see the different levels of your plasma. Obviously this is cooler. And again, you can see the IMF lines on here. I mean, this is just chaos. You can see that the shield itself, it's just, well, it would definitely be what would be called a weakened state. Now, when I see concentrations like this, I personally do not know what these are, don't know what's causing it, but your eye is naturally drawn that there is a concentration there, as you can see that there is one here as well. And again, the different temperature values. Now, if this is a man-made event, wow, all I can say, and I'm going to go slow through these so you can absorb each one and get the impact of what's taking place here. Now, if you will go back in your memory and remember what you were doing on March 14th, remember this was impacting you. Again, just the chaotic. You can see it's as if it lacks any connection point. And you start getting these areas that you can see are just, now is this plasma here? And if that's the case, then boy, talk about a disruption. I mean, I kind of look at this as if you were able to put, warm and cold water and you put them in and you could begin to see how they begin to interact on an ocean. But this is disturbing right here. Again, I get the distinct impression that instead of being pulled down, it's being pulled down and something else out here. Now the sun, this is the sun in real time. Skywatch Media did a great job in giving the comparisons. So as we look at each frame, you can begin to comprehend really what's happening here. I mean, on the scale of being able to measure this by the energy that's being outputted, it's I don't know if anything that we have that could generate that. Maybe CERN. But could a machine generate this much chaos, this much interruption, and on such a scale? And as you can see, we're going about sometimes 4-minute intervals and sometimes 20-minute intervals. This is what I don't understand, is what is this connected to? I don't see it coming off the Earth. So this is just my interpretation. It just leads me to believe that there's something else causing this. You can see here the Earth is trying to get back, but there again, not happening. And you can see the difference too in the magnetic caps here, the north and the south. Look at the north compared to the south. Now we have just the opposite. And so as I understand science, and I'm not saying that I have all the knowledge, but I do have the basics, it seems to me that there has to be something causing this. If I looked at this as a low pressure, high pressure, then there is a perturbation that's pushing here on this pressure line, right? And here's the magnetic shield right here, just blown away. And look at the southern pole here. And what gets me on this one is that as I continue to look at this, is that this has more of a southeast pull as opposed to what we would call a direct magnetic north, right? Just my interpretation. Now look at this. I mean, this is extreme when I look at this one. I mean, just the density, right? And look at this. Again, if we use the low pressure, high pressure scenario, then you could see that this is just something has an enormous effect. Now this is disturbing. It's like it can't make a closed loop. There's something that's just absolutely, I had the thought if I had a leaf blower, right? and I had a solid object, and you're just, you know, the air current is not consistency, it's not hot, not cold, it varies. And this is what I see from this. Oh, look at this. I mean, just what is that? I mean, I really don't know. But I'm sure if you're watching this, you're probably saying to yourself, I don't know. I don't know. I know this. I know it is far from normal. Look at that. Again, you get the distinct impression something down here below the ecliptic just seems to be pulling. And it has like ebbs and tides to it. It's like when there's just immense intensity, and it's like the earth is just trying to catch its breath, right? And just recover from, whatever is assaulting it. And it's trying to get back into that closed loop, but again, something pulling. And that's just my interpretation of this. Now you can see that it's trying to recover, but again, something's really hot right here. I mean, the intensity of the plasma is really hot. And again, the shield is being pulled out. Now this is just really odd. We're getting, again, this concentration effect. And look at this. Still. I mean, it's just like it's just total in chaos. Another assault being hit out there. I mean, this is just off the scale. And again, I get this distinct impression, something below. And look at the heat of the plasma. I mean, it just... And notice the time. We're hours into this. And again, this is crazy. I mean, this is like, it's like the Earth's magnetic shield is being pulled off of the Earth and being artificially surrounded by something else. Like the shield itself is being transposed over onto something else. And it just comes in these waves again. Kind of ebbs and tides. Look at this. And again, I get that distinct impression. Here again, you can see this. I mean, these are definitely concentrations of concentric lines of magnetism. I mean, it's just wild. I don't know if this is the cause, but again, you have to become suspicious. And here, the Earth is just like it's catching its breath again, just trying to get the shield back in order. Now, you see what I mean by no connection? Where is this coming from? I don't know. I mean, you get these loops. If we could see in the total light spectrum, the total spectrum across in here, what is it that we're seeing that's causing this? I don't know. And then it's like it just goes to the other extreme. And the amount of energy the Earth is putting out is just absolutely. I'm very suspicious of. I can't figure it out. But here again, you can see, and look what's happening here. I get the impression of almost like a, I don't know, a boundary of intense polarity. Does that make sense? And then look at this. What's causing this? I mean, we follow just what I know in basic laws of magnetism. There's something that when you get these concentrations, it's causing this polarity to come into here. And you can see the time code again. Watch this. I mean, this is like, you know, being in a 16-bout round of boxing, and, you know, we're into the 15th round now. And the Earth is just getting its butt kicked. What's this? I mean, this is just, you can see it's a distortion. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, there is something here. It's like we're not able to see it, but you can see it's like the wind. I mean, you tell me that is normal. I don't know. When I look at this, I don't know if fear is the right word. It's, you know, it's like you're looking at something that you have no interpretation. Looking at a Sanskrit and you're trying to figure out, all right, where's the commonality? What's happening here? And it has no connection to the Earth, whatever this is. And the effect just goes on. Now, I know this is a long video, but it's only when you slow down and you take a look at these on an individual frame that you begin to see something. I mean, again, we're seeing this all the time. Again. And it's like, it seems like when one field is trying to recover, both the other one is just exploding, right? And it's just coming from all different parts. It's like it cannot get itself back into a closed loop. I mean, something is just sucking it out there. I mean, look at the distortion lines on this. Bizarre. And you can see the satellites. I mean, I am sure that they have to have been impacted by this as well. Just doesn't make sense when you look at this. Again, almost looks like eddy pools, doesn't it? And then look at this. It gets so intense. I mean, that's what draws my attention when you see that. And don't let it escape your understanding. You're seeing just huge amounts of energy. That's just crazy.
Phenomenally successful Star Trek franchise got it right the first time. We will have a Star Trek future. But not at first. This is because the first order of business will belong to Mother Earth, the giver of all life. As the volcanic ash and dust settle from our atmosphere and rains wash the land clean, Mother Nature will begin rebuilding the food chain at its most basic level. And from there, life will be restored upwards throughout the entire food chain. Our continents will offer us new farmlands, and they will yield a bounty of nourishing new crops. And we'll put them to very good use. In the years beyond Planet X in 2012, we'll rebuild, but slowly at first. Those who survive will want to study the mistakes of the past for the sake of future generations. Of course, there will be the obvious errors. For millennia, humankind has always believed that money was the root of all evil. We know that monetary systems are based on artificial financial schemes that serve the greed of a few by enslaving the many. After Planet X, humanity will say never again. Yet we will rebuild. Not with a monetary system, but rather with a resource-based system that will help us do exactly what Gene Roddenberry envisioned when he first created Star Trek. It was this vision that first energized the entire Star Trek franchise for decades. To simply explain it away as science fiction is illogical, because the seed of reality is born of fiction. In the words of futurist Jacques Fresco, the founder of the Venus Project, when human beings are free of debt, insecurity, and fear of their neighbors, they become much more amiable. Jacques Fresco was a man who grew up in the misery of the Great Depression and would then devote his entire life to the hope of an egalitarian future where resource-based economies would end human suffering once and for all by bringing out the best of humanity through service to others. Those steadfast souls who survive the coming tribulations of Planet X will realize the greatest hopes of those who have inspired us with their vision of the future, such as Gene Roddenberry and Jacques Fresco. And we're going to need that vision and hope if we are to survive as a species, for the days of Mother Earth are numbered. Knowing that, we will begin colonizing our own solar system in preparation for the most important step in our survival as a species. Using what we have learned, we will leave this solar system to colonize new Earths all throughout the galaxy. In some distant time, our descendants will bid farewell to the birthplace of our species. Like all things, it too must come to an end. When it does, our descendants will mourn its passing as they celebrate our courage. In the difficult years ahead, each of us has to be in it for the species, because 2012 is about evolution. For more information about Planet X in 2012,